We are back in Siemens Minerals Week 2022, and you can continue commenting on Minerals Week hashtag. And you're able to watch this show CNN, mineralsweek.cl. And we will be talking about something that has been almost taken out of science fiction that controls a mining company through AI. Jose Miguel Mardones had a talk with Dalibor Dragicevic, and he's the chairman of operations from Doña Inés de Collahuasi mining company. Thank you, Seva, for that. We have our virtual study, Dalibor Dragicevic, the Executive VP of Operations in Doña Inés de Collahuasi Mining Company. How are you, Dalibor? Very good. Thank you. This is extraordinary digitalization. And in this Siemens Minerals Week 2022, we are talking about a process of digitalization in mining. I wanted to ask you about the great challenges of Doña Inés de Collahuasi Mining Company. Well, yes. First of all, I would like to refer to the challenge that we have as a company. We are in a region and we lead such a business with passion to build a better society, to help in our community, to meet all the challenges, internal and external challenges, satisfying all the needs and requirements of our stakeholders, the political and economic environment we're in, and sustainability due to the type of business we run. Yes, it is complex. It is something that it's complex. However, we need to see the glass half full, and we have moved forward as a mining company. And in our internal world, we have been moving forward towards digitalization, and that is very positive. And in Collahuasi is to make algorithms of all the processes, is to convert them into algorithms, and that might seem simple, but is trying to capture each step by step of the actions that we carry out in our mining industry. So the challenge this year is to continue generating new algorithms that will be managing our operations. Well, this is a growing trend, digitalization in the industry as a whole. But if we need to put this into a timeline, how long this has been going on? And how about the pandemic? Accelerated the processes? Yes, of course, it did. It was the Sun COVID, because Sun COVID allowed us to take risks, allowed us to jump, allowed us to take that quantum leap and reduce and operate with 50% of the staff. And we thought it wasn't going to be possible, and it was. So for so many years, we've had growth, and it is an accelerated growth. And it is a transformation, digital transformation. It's a technical, adaptive challenge. A solution is not there. We're looking for it. We need to test. We need to experience different possibilities. There is a cultural issue. Yes, and you either jump into this card of change or you stay out. 10 years, as you were saying, it's a digital transformation that goes hand in hand, or holding hands with your people. Sometimes digitalization is not well seen, or automation processes are seen as a replacement for the manpower. And yes, and that is something that goes hand in hand with the workers. This is something that we need to deal with. It's an executive role. This is something that we have to work. Well, we stopped using paper agendas. And doesn't it happen that you write on paper and you feel like, oh, you're so used to the cell phone, the computer, and it's complicated now writing. But this is something that we need to adapt to. It's not a technical issue. The issue is to adapt ourselves. And regarding the replacement, well, yes, I agree with you. There will be an increase of labor offerings, and there will be more offers. We need to take out all the risky processes that are dangerous, that it's only milliseconds when something might happen or an accident might occur, and that's what we need to automate. And that's why we are working on robotic alternatives, and the areas where are prone to major accidents are being automated. And what we want to do is to take our workers out of that danger and making it a safer environment. Thank you so much. And we have been working on that. We have been hearing that. And welcome everyone towards this. Chile is a world leader in mining, and Chile is setting a trend. In that sense, in Collahuasi, we're convinced that this should be done at the pace of the processes and from the processes themselves, and not from an external team, a foreign team that are not part of the operations or that are not within the operations. So digitalization is helping us making the processes safer, having greater productivity, and be more sustainable, which is our main focus of the seminar. What we want to do is to have a lower footprint, or reduce the footprint, reduce the use of fossil fuels, and try to have a relevant, take a relevant path in digitalization. We have many applications. Some of the most relevant are the heat maps from our executives. They touch on each of the activities and that generate words, and that it was good, lifting was good, or the crane was not in good conditions. And behind that, there are algorithms, 2,000 activities, and it generates a heat map. It generates a heat map, and that is the probability that the least controlled risk might trigger an issue, and see what is the most controlled risk. This is from words. Now, if we see this 10 years ago, well, they would say, oh, you're crazy, how come through words? But the algorithm puts weight on that. It gives a greater weight, and we are safer. We are having one accident with the lost time that situates us in a frequency index which is very low. It's one of the best nationwide. And 1 versus 6, up to 6. And clearly, there is a signal on how these processes have been collaborating in terms of safety. Yes, starting with digitalization.
If we go back 10 years, when we start strongly with this process of transformation, and what we have seen through time is the mood of the workers in relation to this digitization, in relation to the beginning, how they started to convince themselves that this will contribute and it's going to be better for them and for the company. The main thing has been that this has been done from the processes and not from external. So the workers, supervisors, executives, they are part of a process. And it's a natural change. It's a new attribute that incorporates naturally. And there's nobody from outside that comes. We have had support in understanding. But today, as we understand our family, our children, and they're a fan of social networks, what is back? What is back is an algorithm. It's not a secret that I talk to my wife, for example, I want to go to the south of Chile. And 2 hours later, I start to receive some offers to go to the south of Chile. It's like the cellular phone is hearing you. Of course, it is hearing you. And that progress from the workers, the supervision also has allowed that this will progress, and we need to jump into this train, as we call it. Yes, it's part of the present. It's not to talk about the future. It's here, and we have to jump in. It's happening. You are seeing. Dalibor, and how do you see the industry? Because we're talking about the company's experience, but how do you see the mining industry? The mining industry is very conservative in general because they want to use the assets. Companies like, for example, the our operation, 5,000 millions of dollars of investment. You have to do profits from that to keep everybody stable, and in that sense, the risk is higher. So I would say that it's conservative if we compare it with the industry of design or other type of products, technological products. But I would say that in the last years, 3, 4 years, this digital transformation has allowed to remove the worker, the supervisor of these high exposure works. And we are doing it every day more to use robotics in these routine works, so to remove the worker from this exposure. And on the other hand, as a trend, we have these remote centers that generally the ore deposits are located in the mountains, and they have been centralized in the cities when other companies, not like us or multinational or Codelco, they create these integrated operation centers, so not to be transporting people to the site and going back, and they do this operation remotely. But do you consider we are on the right way? Yes. Every company has its own pajamas, for example, where the important is that the digital confirmation allows to have a better or an improvement in productivity, in safety of the processes, and sustainability. And there, each company will have to defend and to feel it. In our case, we think that through the use of algorithm, maybe not having these centers, but as this virtual study, maybe I can show you and open a small metaverse and tell you, okay, this is a like mirror. This is being done by an algorithm, and for that we will need some years. But we are clear now, and that we are going to make mistakes, and we are on the way. We have 4 or 5 algorithms that today operate, and faster, reliable than what we can do. Well, you didn't have anything prepared, but no, we are going to reach that, achieve that in some moment. Let's define some important technologies in this process of transformation. If we have to name some to make it more graphical and how this will be taken to the practice, from our experience, we think that the digital twins, it's an important a quantic jump. Digital twins is to have the replication, for example, a conveyor belt or a system that our industry requires, is to with some models that are not simulators that represent the process, but they are acquiring data in milliseconds. Then that model to be updated, and that allows to predict future scenarios or improve gaps in operation, in maintenance. 10 years ago, that was impossible. Impossible. And that is very important to predict future scenarios. That's very important for an industry where we know that we want to contribute in safety issues to prevent before healing. And also, the artificial intelligence. Today, we are seeing some algorithms that are incorporated in cameras that allow to have a safe area. We do have maintenance of our trucks, mining trucks, which are huge, the tires, where the potential energies can cause major accidents. And today, the algorithm of artificial intelligence can learn and can alert when you are exposed to that energy. So to say, be careful and to generate the alert. And also with the repetition of images to question yourself and to learn that maybe going in the left side you're exposing, so you have to go in the right side. And just with the repetition, that capacity of analysis of data of some years ago, we didn't have that. It was not possible. We will talk later with Luis Caraquemada about digital twins. This example that you're giving, Dalibor, in this interview. Maybe in all this transformation process, the cybersecurity is very important. Yes, it's one more attribute we have incorporated. Today is very common in this week that we have been going through, that you receive a message from the MinSal, the Ministry of Health, and they verify your fourth doses, and we give the password. And we have strengthened in our mapping. Cybersecurity is a relevant attribute where we have to put some layers. In the month, we receive 6 million of emails that are, let's say, with bad intentions and that we block. They don't reach our users. 6 million only in Collahuasi. So it's a process that it already changed. And as we have the benefit of the new technologies, we have this point that the digital bad intention. Dalibor, which is the vision of Collahuasi for the future in terms of digitization? Because you have achieved some stages, but there are projections for the future, and that is a circle that will never stop turning on. We have this metaverse, which is known like a door, entrance door to unimaginable things. We want to continue growing, and in our business is necessary to continue working. We are a fixed cost industry, but in this growth we want to do it differently, to take all the learnings of these last years, and in the new facilities in the future plants we can have this algorithm in a natural way operating our new process or our new growth. And we believe that we can have a jump, a leap that allow us to have less investment and an efficient use of capital, and not to put the persons in the process of more risk, where in the future we can have these robots and the persons dedicating themselves to the metaverse, to understanding that the word X is being repeated and that could generate an incident, or we are losing because of a variability that we are not really seeing in those processes. Dalibor, and if we take that to the practice, what positions, working positions, are you going to need in relation to the digital transformation? Mathematicians and mathematical engineer in the mind. We do have one that works with us. It was unthinkable some years ago, but in the line of what we are talking, behind our digitization, we have algorithms. So, mathematical engineer today and every day more is going to be common in mining, not as in the past. I think that digitization also democratizes the decision making in that sense that from the data, the decision is taken not because I say that. At the end, it allows that many can have access to this information and that we can have make a decision as a cell, as a group, as a working group. And what you're telling about the professions, the IT will be something very common, electricity, electronics, because that allows that in any process could be more efficient. As the countries, for example, it is possible what electrical capacity you have, and I will say you how developed is your country. I think that in general, each of the other professions will have an important base in this digital world that is a daily thing. As we were saying in the social networks, your kids can explain because they were born digitally, not in our case. They just take the cellular phone early, they know all about that. And this transformation, digital transformation process, is all around the company, each of the processes and all the areas of the company, of course. From each of us, the roles of the persons, from the executives, supervisors, workers, when offering this lake, data lake, the digital twin tool, the automatic learning through machine learning, they also start to incorporate themselves in a natural way and how to do the things in a different way. We are going to be attentive to all the things that are happening in Minera. Doña Inés de Collahuasi, Dalibor Dragicevic, Vice President, thank you for your time here and in this Minerals Week. And we will have a lot of other conversations. So, to going deep here, that came to stay and that we have to jump into the train. And that is a great conclusion. Or we jump in or we stay back. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Thank you, Dalibor. Now we are going back with Sebastián Aguirre that has more context, more conversations in the Siemens Mineral Week 2022.